Kostick, here. Just want to announce that Ron Wilder is out of town, and he's excused from tonight's meeting. Phil Kennedy as well. And Phil is recovering from some surgery. If you're watching, as you said you were going to, we all wish you a speedy recovery and miss you. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Now, since our secretary, I should also mention our public services director is in the hospital, and our normal secretary, and she said she can pick all this up, but she's gone home ill today. So, at any rate, we miss them all. So
put you in charge.
It's been moved. What's that?
Put you in charge.
Yeah, I got it. So it's been moved and supported that the agenda be approved as distributed. Any discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Next, you all have the minutes of our August 13th meeting. I've had a chance to look at them. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our August 13th meeting unless there are some corrections. Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported that the minutes of the August 13th regular meeting be approved as distributed. Hearing no comments, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Next, you have approval of bills. Vouchers $13,191 to $13,197, shown on pages 7 through 13. You've had a chance to look at those. Are there any questions? Not hearing any, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Support.
Move supported that the bills be approved as submitted to us tonight. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bills are approved. Next, you have pages 14 through 18, the statement of revenues and expenses through August of this year. That's about 5 months into our fiscal year. I looked them over, and we normally just receive and file the budget reports. Everything looks pretty consistent with our budgets. Any questions? All right, we'll move on. Next, we have the treasurer's report for August of 2013. And on the back of the report, it shows our fund balance for drains and our fund balance for road improvements.
I make a motion we approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
Move supported that the treasurer's report for August be approved as distributed. Hearing no questions, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So the treasurer's report's approved. So we got through all those items quickly. Manager's not here. I'm going to make an attempt to go through his report, but first I want to give an opportunity that we have several people in the audience tonight, so if anybody'd like to approach the podium. I know Tim Rooney, our Parks Director, has a request he'd like to present to us, so Tim, I invite you up to the podium.
Well, thank you for letting me appear before you tonight. I visited with you back in April, and you were very generous in supporting some major drainage problems we were experiencing in public recreation facilities. And at that time, the two areas, one was the Centennial Farm, the dog park area, and then next to the Recreation Activity Center, which are heavily used by our residents. And then the two ponds at Water's Edge, the one south of Bellevue on 3, and the pond on number 9. And we had come in with some estimates that the projects would cost about $38,400. And then after going through the bidding process, you can see on what we received August 22nd that the low bid was $44,500, then $85,823 Campo Brothers, and Pro Excavation $56,675. So quite a range of costs. In talking to our engineers, they have confidence in RVP. They've worked with them in the past. And what we are hoping, if you look at the next page, where we think the cost went up was around the pond, particularly the one on 3 with all the drainage. If you note, it says contractor shall exercise caution when excavating pond number 2 south of Bellevue. Pipes, pumps, and risers exist under and along this pond, and that does kind of clear out that whole side of that property. And talking to Sohio, he thinks that's kind of where the price went up over what we had estimated. And then I also have a breakdown that was presented to the board and also to the DPS Commission of where we thought the cost would come in. The Centennial Farm, Dog Park, and Rec Activity Area were kind of on the dime. But then where we ran into a little bit of a problem were the ponds and the drainage in that area. You can see $8,000 for that, and then for the Water's Edge projects, and then $29,000 for Centennial Farm. And if you go back to the breakdown on RVP, it was $25,800 for it says Dog Park, but that's both those projects at the farm, $25,600, so a little under, and then the ponds were, I'd say, a little bit over. So we were hoping that we could come back to you and maybe get the $6,100 and then take it to the board for approval. And then
When are you going to do the work, Tim?
immediate, well, we're ready to go now, yes.
Okay.
And then,
So Tim, I'm just adding these figures up based on the original report, which was dated April of this year. You said that when we approved all these projects, they added up to $38,200,
$400, $38,400, I believe.
and the low bid, oh yeah, $38,400, and the low bid was $44,500.
Right, RVP. There's a picture of the pond on the south side along 3, and that drains that whole area.
So you're
And that's,
looking-
I think that's where we
So what are
probably,
you looking for, additional $6,100?
$6,100. And here's,
Okay, so I recall the projects, and we spent some time with you going over them. I'll open the floor up for questions from the commission. Anybody have questions?
I don't have any.
I don't have any.
Anybody from the audience have a question on these projects? You don't know what we're talking about, I guess. We're talking about drainage improvements at the Centennial Farm, in the playground area, near the activity building, in the dog park area. Dredging removal of debris from the Water's Edge ponds at Water's Edge. And well, there were a couple different areas at Water's Edge. So, and we voted to budget or authorize funds from our drain fund to assist the Parks and Rec Department with some of these drainage improvements. I recall the projects, Tim. We went and looked at them.
okay.
And a bid is what it is. One question I have is the engineering costs. This is just construction costs you're dealing with, right?
The cost was supposed to include engineering.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Okay. All right. All right, so you're at,
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay.
Tim, do you have the breakdown on RVP's bid?
I don't have the nitty-gritty of it all. I have this information. I think the department might have more, and then I could get it from Raines also.
Well, you mean the unit price bid?
We have the old breakdown in front of us from Raines showing everything, but that was back in April. Now we just have the one lump sum total, right? As far as RVP, we only have the 44.5.
Well, Jim, they probably bid this on a unit price.
They do break it down. From what I received from Raines, they do have
They have unit price.
farm. It says dog park, but that is the rec building and the dog park.
Yeah.
That's 25. And the other part is.
Okay, and that's as much as we have. That's all I wanted.
I'm sure there's more detail in
Oh,
the
yeah,
paperwork
I'm
at
sure
Raines,
there
and I
is,
think
too.
probably Lorinda had more detail, but they go through the DPS, and then they asked me to up here tonight.
Okay,
But I know they have the detail.
all right.
Tim, those pictures you showed us, is this going to take care of any of the pastures too?
No, it's the dog park.
Okay.
just on, in that rec area there.
So the question is to accomplish all these projects, you need, before you can award the contract, $6,100 additional.
Correct, yes.
Is there anybody that wishes to make the motion to?
I make a motion, we recommend to the township board to give Tim an additional $6,100 out of the drainage fund so he can get this project moving.
Second.
Okay, it's been supported. And in our budget for drainage, we have miscellaneous drain projects line item. I assume that's where it'll come from. So it's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? The motion was to approve an additional $6,100 from our budgeted line item miscellaneous drain projects in this current year's budget for the projects that you've outlined. If there's no further discussion, no questions from the audience, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Your project's approved, Tim.
Okay, thank you. You're going to make a lot of residents happy.
So when would you go to the township board?
Their next meeting,
Which is when?
2 weeks from last night. 23rd, I think it is.
And you have a contractor ready to move. It's too bad we didn't get the
We've got so many projects that you would not related to DPS, that just 1 or 2 approvals and we'd be getting all kinds of things done, whether it's playground equipment or you name it. It just drives you out. The red tape we keep running into, not with DPS, but other agencies outside of Grow, it's just driving us nuts. But anyway, I don't need to get into that right now.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, I always get out of sync because there's only a few people in the audience, so, and our public comment time is way down on our agenda, so we have some members of the public here. I would invite, if anybody has anything they'd like to approach the commission on, that you're welcome to come to the podium now. Please give your name and your street.
Tom Zanin, Rucker Road.
Okay?
I'm just wondering, anything on the Rucker Road drainage problem, Rucker Meridian?
Yes, Tom, it's on the agenda under discussion items 10, but I'll give you the report now, okay? We spoke with the engineers today. They were out as of late last week, still getting grade shots with survey equipment. And Les Schmidtke, who's on the commission, was a former employee of the township, who understands
A couple weeks ago.
and understands the drainage in the area. And they've taken Les's comments into account. They're looking at the pipes and to see which ones need to be cleaned or not cleaned, as well as some of the ditches in the area. So they're preparing a whole report. And as I understand that at this point, there may be 2 or 3 initiatives that will be undertaken to alleviate some of the flooding problems.
That's great.
So, but I will tell you this, that at our next meeting, which is October 8th, we will receive the report and make some final action on it, as we will with the drainage problem on Loma Circle. So, and I told Mr. Milge,
Oh, yeah.
I talked to him on the phone, I know that Les did, since he is unable to come to our meetings because of his work commitments, then he actually works an evening shift, I would see that we meet with him before our next meeting and explain to him what we're proposing to do.
That's all we can ask. Thank you very much.
Well, I hope we can alleviate the problem.
I'm sure you guys.
We can't spend $1 million, but
No.
maybe we can spend some money and reduce the impact of the flooding that you've
Thank you very
experienced.
much. That's all we can ask. Thank you.
Okay, so that's the Rucker Road drainage update. You're welcome to stay. Okay, so, moving on the agenda for the manager's report, the household hazardous waste collection is Saturday, October 12th. That's what the agenda says. October 12th is not a Saturday. It's actually the 13th. And Lorinda sent me a note of things I'm supposed to correct here. So the household hazardous waste collection is on Saturday, October 12th, and not the 13th. Wait a minute.
Quick.
The advertisement says Saturday, October 13th. Anybody have a calendar?
Yeah. There you go, Jim.
Sounds good for something.
If our meeting's the 8th.
14th
This
is a
is-
Saturday.
The 14th of Saturday?
So,
I'm sorry,
October 14th.
I'm sorry.
October.
September. October 12th is a Saturday. Is a Saturday, sorry.
Well, the agenda says the 12th, the flyer says the 13th. So
13th is a Sunday.
So this is a flyer from Wayne County. There you go. So it's actually the 12th. So the Household Hazardous Waste Collection, sponsored by the Wayne County Department of Public Services, is Saturday, October 12th, at the Southland Shopping Center, Eureka Road in Pardee. It says enter off Pardee near the Target store. And this is for household hazardous waste. This will be posted on the township website, notice about the household hazardous waste collection. If there are no questions, there's also a dump and junk, find a treasure, and e-collection event at our own DPS yard, October 19th and 20th. And we'll also post that information. So October 19th and 20th, dump your junk, find a treasure. I don't know who put that title on it. And we'll blame Barry, he's not
You
here.
know why they had it that way for a long time?
And e-collection, which is electronic devices that you're getting rid of, October 19th and 20th, DPS yard. And I'm going to guess the time on that would be, I don't think we have a public notice on that, that the time of that would be from probably 9 in the morning till 1. Do you know, John?
I believe it's 9 to 4 the first day and 9 to 1 the second.
9 to 4 and 9 to 1. October 19th and 20th, dump the junk at the DPS yard on Grow. The next item on the manager report is status of Wayne County improvements for East River Road. The latest word that I think the township manager had was that they expect that within the next week, the intergovernmental agreement will be approved. And I understand that our engineers, Sahil Sabak, has talked with Mr. Conrad at the in charge of road maintenance for Wayne County, and that by the end of the month, the work will be started. It'll be completed by mid-October. That's what's projected. These are 4 intersections we're going to resurface on East River at Ferry, Stout Island, and Church Roads that are real bad. Update on the Park Lane School Drainage Project, item number 4. Project is finished. It looks great. Contractor did a good job. The assistant school superintendent already sent a note out that they've had several compliments on the job, even though it was our job. And it looks really nice. So it cleaned up the backstop of the ball diamond area where the little children play. They play the t-ball. Hopefully it'll, and the grass is starting to come up. So it's all good news. Any questions on that? Item 5, update on our 2013 concrete road sectioning repairs. All the work is done except the entrance to Hawthorne off Meridian. That's the only one that they've got to do yet. So all the other work is completed.
Bill, weren't they
Yep.
going to do Playscape
Oh,
Drive?
they didn't do Playscape, did they?
No.
I will call them tomorrow on that.
What is your schedule for Hawthorne?
It's supposed to be in September.
I honestly don't know. I will find out the schedule, so we'll have a report at our next meeting. I'm glad you reminded me of Playscape. Playscape is the road that's on the west side of the post office, when you leave the post office, and that road has got several bad holes, or depreciated sections of where the joints in the concrete pavement come together. So a few slabs are going to be cut out there. Actually, they're going to saw cut about a 3-foot section through there along the joint, the main joint, and replace those areas. Update on the pressure reducing valves project. The pressure reducing valves for our water system are in the process of being designed, including the pit and specifications. This doesn't say when they'll be out to bids, but this will be on our agenda for the next meeting.
Is there anything on there about the 12-inch?
I think that the minutes reflected we were going to go with your recommendation, Les.
Yeah.
Does that cover it?
Yeah, you know, it's tough when the people aren't here that you can talk to and find out what has come back. But, yeah, that's fine.
That's right. And I'm adding number 7, I just thought as an information item. LaSalle Court, we've received 2 petitions for 3 now? Today, 3. We need 6. So we'll give you, that'll be back on our agenda next month, and we'll see where that stands. Discussion items, we already talked about Rucker Road. I do want to talk about, just briefly, we've been studying, we've had a subcommittee, we had a study session before tonight's meeting, where we're looking at the long-term water main improvements that are necessary on the island so we can have a good supply of water. And there's several water mains that we need to be improved, and not only because they're old, some 70 years old, and then upsized. So we're looking at those, and then long-term road improvements. We have 50-some miles of roads on the island. Several of them are in very bad condition. So we've been studying different kinds of improvements that we want to make and putting together a plan to eventually place before the voters some kind of proposal to do both water main and road improvements, similar to what was done on West River, where you have a nice section of road off Loma Circle. But if you go north of the bridge, West River's in a completely different state. And if you look at Meridian, when you get off Parkway and go north, it's in very bad shape, several sections of East River and so forth. So we all know about the roads. Our goal is to try to preserve what we have, not see it get any worse. So we're continuing to study that, and there'll be a report back on our next agenda on our long-term water and road improvements. So that covers that discussion item. Anybody have any comments on these items from the commission? We just met for an hour and a half on looking at alternatives. Action items. First action item is we have the wastewater treatment plant bid award recommended to the Township Board for the elevator upgrade. You have a report, and Joe, you're here, Joe Keefe from the wastewater plant, you're here if you want to speak to any issues. And John, I didn't mean to overlook you. If you had any comments, you should have raised your hand.
We're good.
We're doing okay? Do you have do you have any information on the PRV valves?
No, they are looking at the 12-inch, and they're also going to raise the lid 3 feet.
Okay,
So we can get it to work on them.
thank you.
Back to the Rucker Road.
You want to come up to the podium?
Regarding the Rucker Road drainage, I spoke to Lonnie Z from Wayne County today. They did clean that pipe under Meridian 2 weeks ago, which will alleviate a lot of the problem. He's scheduling hopefully for next week to dig the cattails out of the ditch on the west side.
Was the sewer pipe they unplugged, was it severely plugged?
It was about a third full.
Third full.
Right after, the day
After
after,
the last meeting, I went over there and we cleaned as much as we could, but there was a lot of debris in the pipe, so we contacted Wayne County. They got to it.
And you don't really have the right equipment to do it anyway.
Well, there was a spare tire stuck in the pipe. We were able to pull that out and alleviate a little bit of the problem, but there was a lot of large debris, logs and stuff in there that they had to jet out.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Okay, now, Joe, you want to come up to the podium? So, the first item is, based on the recommendation of our engineers, there's a motion to recommend to the Township Board to award a bid for the elevator upgrade at the wastewater treatment plant to Lardner Elevator. This was one of 2 bids, as you can see. The other was Detroit Elevator. So the low bid was $115,525. The Detroit Elevator Company bid $118,330. This was advertised. In the past, the report goes on to say in the past 3 years, we've spent $40,000 on elevator repairs. Now we're talking about replacing them. So, Joe, we've talked about this before. We're ready to entertain a motion, I think. Do you have any additional comments?
No, I think it's, great that we're moving forward. The bids came in kind of where everybody expected them to, and very close to each other, so I'm real confident that the bids are going to take care of our problems. The state inspector comes in and has a field day every year because stuff continually breaks down. We got dinged for telephone not working, which was already on order to get replaced. And it wouldn't stop at one of the floors. And that's that old mica insulator problem I was telling you about that's failing. So it's time. We need to get it upgraded.
Okay.
If anybody else has
Are
any
there any
questions about
questions?
it.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we award the bid, or we send it to the Township Board to award the bid
Second.
for Ladner Elevator Company to replace the elevator.
In the amount of $115,525. Ted, you had
Yeah, I just
a question?
I'd like to see the specs on this, what they're going to do for this 115,000.
I can get it to you.
That's right. I mean, they're going to vote. I would like to see that as well as that on the HVAC.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen those yet, so.
All right, the elevator one was better than the HVAC specs. There was a lot of, the bidders had a lot of questions on those, but I will get you, I'll email you those two.
Well, I just want to see what both of these companies are bidding on.
Oh, okay, yeah, they're the same. I think they bid on exactly the same stuff.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, they were both at the pre-bid.
Yes.
And in fact, Ladner did, I mean, he was there, he was taking pictures of about every inch of that elevator.
Right.
So, he did a thorough job in his inspection.
Yeah.
All right, well, Mr. Van Haas has asked that he see a copy of the specs for both. This is going to go to the Township Board, so if in the next week you get that information, or this week, get
I'll
that
email it
information, and Mr. Van Haas, that'll...
Yeah, I might be able to save you a lot of hassle at the board level.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the award of the elevator bid to Lardner Elevator Company, $115,525. Any further discussion? Any questions from the audience? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Who seconded, Bill?
I did.
Buddy,
Jim Budney.
Okay.
You know, Bill, it'd probably be a good idea if you kind of explain what kind of funding this comes from, or I can do that if you'd like.
Sure, go ahead. Do the
Since we took over the sewage treatment plant from Wayne County, we were mandated to set aside $107,000 annually for catastrophic failure. We've done that over the past 25 years. We've now taken possession of the plant from Wayne County completely, and we are continuing to set aside that same amount at the township level for catastrophic events and or major repairs to prevent a catastrophic event. And basically, it's going to have no effect on the rates. It's going to have no effect on the sewer rates. This money has already been collected, and it's a type of escrow or account that we set aside strictly for maintenance for the plant. And our next action item, which is a HVAC replacement, falls under that same category. So it was pretty prudent over the years to set this money aside. We've managed to keep the plant in pretty good shape. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, and each year we do improvements, and as things break, the plant is 1977 vintage,
66.
66? All right.
it was an upgrade
In 79, it was upgraded, the secondary treatment went in.
Isn't that the original elevator?
Yes,
And it was put there in 66?
yes.
Not 80?
No, 1966.
And our fund balance is a couple $1 million. If we had a
Yes, it
major
is.
problem at the plant, we would need that money. But that's where the funds come from, so thanks for making that point. Okay, so the next issue involving the wastewater plant is a recommendation for the AC unit replacement and the RBC unit removal. And the bids were taken. There were,
Do you want the motion first?
well, I'm just going to give a brief out, then I'll ask for the motion. There were 4 bids received. The low bidder was DA Mechanical at the price of $45,255. The high bid was from Monroe Plumbing at $82,000. So I'll entertain a motion, and then we'll discuss it.
Mr. Chairman, I move that based on the recommendation of the Charles E. Raines Company, their motion to recommend to the Township Board to award the bid for the AC unit replacement and the RBC unit removal at the wastewater treatment plant to DA Mechanical LLC, lowest bidder in the amount of $45,255.
I will second that motion.
It's been moved and supported that we make the award to DA Mechanical, or the recommendation to award to DA Mechanical for $45,255. Is there any further discussion, questions?
Joe, was this the original company that was going to take the old one off the roof?
No, that was an asbestos abatement company that came in like, what, a year and a half, 2 years ago?
Is the old one still up there?
On RBC Road, yes.
Or that, they're going to take that off, right?
They're going to take that off. That's part of the scope of this.
Any further questions? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we have that recommendation completed. Next is a recommendation of the Township Board that we applied to Wayne County for a permit for sign installation at West Jefferson and Bridge Road. And I think, Jim Budney, you're going to give us an update on this.
Yeah, I was, where this all came from, I was approached by the Grosseau Bridge Company, who offered to pay for the sign and the installation. But as part of the process, you have to make an application to Wayne County, and as far as Wayne County is concerned, you are now the owner of the sign and, need to take care of it. This is not going to say Grosseau Bridge Company, it's going to say Grosseau. It's for the island, so they thought it appropriate that the island should own it, and I would agree with them. But they're willing to pay everything as far as installation and the sign itself. And the sign will be somewhat like our open space signs.
It'll be a decorative sign?
A decorative sign showing, if you notice, we don't have a lot of signage for Grosseau. We don't have anything you get down to the end of Sibley Road, and there's nothing to tell you to turn right or left to go to Grosseau. So if you're, there just isn't a lot out there. This is one of a number of signs they've offered to purchase and install to promote Grosseau. We thought this would be the most appropriate for the first one, and we can, talk about other ones later. And this would go at Bridge and Jefferson.
Would it be, Jim, I guess I don't know exactly where it will go. I'm not opposed to asking for a permit, but I'd just like to know. You say the sign's going to look like our open space signs?
Yes, it's going to be
Exactly that format?
Not exactly, no. But, the rendering I've seen of it is akin to that.
When you submit to the county, you're going to have a rendering in size and
Right. You have to have absolutely everything in order.
all that specificity. Should this recommendation come from us or from the Township Board?
Well, I think the Township Board has to make the recommendation, or has to make the application.
Our Township Manager, Dale Rome is here. Dale?
Good evening. Actually, this will involve a resolution from the Township Board for Wayne County permits. So they will ultimately have to approve the project and have a resolution that will have the standard maintenance requirements, the liability waivers, all of those types of things. So it is more of a process than just simply
filling out an application.
So we'll have, if the recommendation from this commission goes to the board and the board will approve the project, then we will start Wayne County's application process. And the process will result in a tentative permit, subject to approval of the resolution that they tell us they want us to approve, then it will go back to the board.
So the questions I have, maybe everybody else does too, but where exactly is it going to go? You say it's going to be on
No.
Jefferson. Is it going to be across from where Bridge Road dead ends? You know?
Right at the entrance to Bridge Road, I mean, beyond Jefferson, what would that be? The east?
right there by the lift station that's in there?
Well, no, it wouldn't be by the lift. It'd be on the other side.
Okay.
So
On the Riverview,
Yeah,
the Riverview,
southeast corner?
yeah.
Southeast.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
side of Bridge Road,
East side of,
but the south side of Jefferson.
yes. Thanks, Les.
Be on the southeast side.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The area up against the fence that's Riverview's
Mhm.
marina area.
Oh, yeah, I don't know, I don't know if theirs goes quite that far, but in that area, yes.
The only reason I'm asking
Yeah.
is I was talking to a citizen a week ago or so, and the issue came up about when you leave the toll bridge, I thought that the road from where the toll booths end, there's when you're exiting, there's a hole there in the pavement that they've had 2 or 3 cones in for months now. And I wondered why they haven't fixed that. Is that not the bridge authority's?
That's Wayne County's
That's Wayne
road.
County's road.
So it starts right there.
Yeah, and that is being worked on with Wayne County to try and get them to, why they never paved all of Bridge, they paved up to the Riverview boat launch entrance and then stopped and didn't pave all of their road.
So I think that, Jim, you ought to take that request, part of it, with the sign. I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't ask them to fix that
We have,
and formally.
we have.
The township,
Okay, formally, no.
the township
We've been
board.
in discussion.
Maybe that ought to be part of the sign request. And the other comment I have is, on the opposite side of the road, where it's all full of weeds. I mean, it should be mowed. The shoulder there should be mowed. Now I understand why it isn't mowed. And I suppose we can't mow it because it's outside the township proper, right? So we ought to ask Wayne County to mow it. And that's more of a DPS request we could make to Lonnie Lee, I guess. That's his group that's responsible for that, right? So maybe a couple things, John, just to shortcut things. Maybe you could ask from the Sibley Road yard if Lonnie could fix that hole, maybe he's not even aware of it, and mow that shoulder before winter. Would that be a good solution to it? Patch it with some hot patch material, asphalt? Fine with everybody?
Now you're doing good, Bill. Keep going.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we have a motion to recommend the Township Board apply to Wayne County for a permit. And Jim, I assume when this goes to the Board of Trustees, you'll have a location sign and a sample of the sign and everything in your report.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Any further discussion? Hearing
Make the
none.
motion, Jim?
Yeah, you supported it. So, Flooding.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Les. I thought you did. That's good. And I appreciate you keeping track of all this. So if there's no further discussion or questions, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we have a request going forward to the county for that.
Well, I had the same question you did, Bill. Why did that come before us?
Well, it's kind of good. We get a chance to stab.
But I mean, that's fine, all well and good, but I don't understand why we,
I just wanted to have the DPS support for it, that's all.
you got it.
And we are pleased to do it. So thank you, Jim, for carrying the ball on that. I think you're right. We do need a sign. All right. Those are our agenda items. Any public comment? It's your last opportunity. Chairman has no further report tonight. Are there any comments from commissioners? Ted?
No.
Les?
Nothing? Yes, I was reading one of the newspapers from Ohio the other day, and they had an excellent article about Flight 93 National Monument. It's in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and it's probably an interesting one to see. There was a very good write-up about it, and I, unfortunately, I wouldn't call it an anniversary, but the recognition of a terrible situation is coming up again tomorrow, which will be September 11th. And that would be all that I would have to say. Oh, I did think of one other thing. There was a fellow from Grosse Ile, a Princeton graduate, and he was in the building. He was in the second building, and miraculously, he decided to leave on foot down the staircase, and he was on about floor 20 when the second tower was hit. And so he was uninjured and survived that catastrophe. So that's another thing. And we're glad he did.
Yes. Well, thank you. Jim?
Bill, I have one thing. The cement slab repair on Marquette is wonderful. I think, according to my friend who lives on Marquette, I'd like to see if we could check and see if they missed a saw cut. It looks like they missed a saw cut. He asked me to bring that up. And I don't, his name is Richard Brown. Address I don't have with me, so. Whoever's supposed to sign off, I'm sure it's probably been paid for and it's all done, but if you could just,
Well, it probably hasn't been. When you say they missed a saw cut, what do you mean?
well, I mean, they're supposed to be every so many feet. And then, but there's an area that there should have been a saw cut, we think.
In the new
and there's not
concrete?
one there. In the new concrete, yeah.
Like an expansion joint?
Yeah. Thank you. Just keeping the residents happy as we
There
can.
were only a couple slabs there, so.
Right.
It should be easy to look at.
Should be easy to find.
Jim Bundy?
Nothing.
Anything else? With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting is October 8th.
Second?
Who supported that? We, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.